Can you believe we're already nearly halfway through the year? 2023 is reaching its halfway point, and so a lot is inevitably heating up. The fall and holiday season are not that far, so big games, new hardware, and exciting ideas are all coming to the forefront. Also Jeff Keighley, like so much Jeff Keighley. But good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Delayed pump of the mug, and I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm so out of sync, but it's kind of comical in a very special way. Let's get right to the Nintendo news of the day, plus our discussion on something I think is being misrepresented, and it's actually pretty cool, and I want to have a discussion with you about it. It's a big new hardware reveal, and we'll get there. First, let's start it off with Zelda's 1.12 patch, which basically says good night to all you cheaters out there. Duplicating glitches have been very fun, and I've been vocal on the fact that in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, given that there is no multiplayer component, there is no economy for an online live service, it's fine to me. If you want to make a bunch of diamonds, you want to make a bunch of weapons, go for it. Your prerogative, right? We used to have a freaking Game Genie. I had a Game Genie book. There were code books. You could do stuff like that. It wasn't a big deal, but Nintendo said no. Nintendo patched out all the item duplication glitches because Zelda is serious business. And I know like I'm kind of making fun of it, but like I get it. Like this is their premier franchise, premier game, and realistically, so much of the game and so much of the game time comes from exploring and adding to your arsenal and finding things and investigating chests and caves and bokoblin strongholds that duplicating does kind of, I guess, from a developer standpoint, cause a humongous shortcut in the gameplay, so they patched it out. If you don't want to have it patched out, just don't update your game. Just don't connect to online with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Until the DLC comes out, you honestly could keep this game at its 1.1.1 version state and you'd be totally fine. So the choice is still yours. If you want to duplicate and make that magic, you can. Just don't update. If you don't care, then update. But this update doesn't have anything else fun. It's not like it throws in a little, I don't know, like a little statue of... Where am I going with it? What is not up to you, though, is another racing game that sounds like it is surely coming, and that would be Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. Hot Wheels Unleashed was actually a pretty good Hot Wheels game, which if you said, hey, the IP of Hot Wheels is going to be a video game, I would have said, ooh. But, you know, a lot of licensed stuff has really picked up the pace in the last decade, I'd say. Licensed games, when I was little, used to be kind of like, oh, it's going to be a 5 at best, but now licensed stuff like Lego Star Wars and Hot Wheels can be really good. We do have leakers corroborating, saying that, yeah, this is coming, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. No release date yet, no footage, nothing like that, but they're already talking about like deluxe versions and season passes, and the first one was on Switch, so I'm guessing the second one will be too. A ton of racers are trying to eat into Mario Kart's cake, but just remember, there's still a few waves to go. So for now, Mario and Peach remain king and queen. All right, let's talk about new hardware. PlayStation said, Switch, we're late, we're here. We forgot about the Vita, don't remember that, but we're doing the Switch. Nintendo Switch set the world on fire with its ability to switch, and since then, I feel like major platform holders have been chasing that a bit. Sony is now actualized with the PlayStation Project Q, which was unveiled kind of unceremoniously in their big showcase. Now, the missing first-party huge reveals kind of overshadowed this hardware announcement, but Sony announced basically their version of a Switch, and everybody is poo-pooing it and dismissing it. And I gotta say my piece on this, which is that I think this device is actually pretty cool. Okay, here's why. It takes the best part of the Switch, playing it not on your TV, and it gives it to you, but it doesn't make you use these Joy-Con. When we play our Switch while dad is watching football or while son is using up the TV for Love is Blind, we have to use Joy-Con. And now PlayStation has put a DualSense 5, arguably the best controller on the market, on the ends of an 8-inch screen. Now, that to me is pretty awesome because it upgrades one of the biggest failings of Nintendo Switch, which is the portable play controller option. You can be super cool and get a fixture, which allows you to put your Pro Controller in play for portable, but a lot of people don't have that and don't even know about it, so Joy-Con is the way. And a DualSense 5, even though people are mocking it for just being split with the screen in the middle, like, it's actually a massive, massive upgrade. Now, the caveat here is that this doesn't really have its own system as far as we know. It's literally just a portal to play PlayStation 5 games already installed in your console via remote play. But I still think that that's not a totally inherently dumb idea. Could it be more? Yes. But I think the PlayStation Q, as an alternative to play your PlayStation 5 in bed, in the bathroom, laying upside down, on the back porch, is actually a pretty sick idea. And everyone's saying just do it on your phone, but I'm telling you, the phone thing is never as cool as it sounds, at least for me. I don't like playing big games on my phone. It feels weird, it feels awkward, it never feels right. But you know what does feel right? The Switch and the Steam Deck, and I bet the PlayStation Q will potentially feel the most right. 1080p 60 frames per second over your Wi-Fi with an actual controller split kind of perfectly. That sounds great. All the haptics, all the triggers that resist, all that stuff is there. The problem is, and here's where things take a turn, this should be included with the PS5. This should 100% be included with the PlayStation 5, and then it would be absolutely giga industry changing. The Switch would have to hold onto its horses and watch out, because yeah, you can't take it outside the house, but you now basically have double the PS5 options. Think about the people that get 2 Switches. Think about the people that get a Series X and a Series S. Sony could give you a switchable PS5 that, yeah, can't go outside the home and yeah, it relies on remote play and Wi-Fi, but that would be super cool. That would provide a direct alternative to Nintendo Switch's multifaceted gameplay options, but with far better graphics. And where I'm going with this, you might not see, but wait a second and you'll understand. I really don't think it's the idea of Project Q that is the problem. I think it's the placement and the eventual price. This thing isn't going to be $50. This thing isn't going to be $100. This thing isn't going to be $150. It'll probably be $200, $250, $300. And then you have a massive problem because it should be bundled in with the system as an awesome alternative and as a Nintendo Switch attempt to kill. Sure, it doesn't have Tears of the Kingdom, doesn't have Mario Kart, doesn't have much. It has Spider-Man 2, but it would be a very valiant attempt to merge handheld and home console from the Sony side of things. And here's the opportunity for Nintendo, because Project Q, given that it's going to probably be priced high, barring some crazy change of heart from Sony where they decide to undervalue their hardware and not super overvalue it. Look how much they charge for PSVR 2. That thing is so expensive, I didn't get it, and neither did really hardly anybody else. Sony will probably price this high, and Nintendo now can come in and they can take the final blow. When the Switch 2 is ready, the Switch 2 is going to benefit so severely from Project Q. Nintendo Switch was already super cool, offering you this new dynamic. A dynamic that a lot of us dreamed of and a lot of us hoped for, playing big games wherever we are. The unification of the 3DS and the Wii U smacked into one, it's the Switch. PlayStation 5, Xbox have great graphics. Project Q is going to be able to support those great graphics. It's going to look significantly better than Nintendo Switch, but when the Switch 2 rolls around, and the Switch 2 cost a little bit more than Project Q, but is its own whole darn system. It can play on the TV, it can play on the go, and best yet, it can play outside of Wi-Fi. It can play outside of your home. It can play anywhere and everywhere you are, and even if you don't travel a ton, like even if you don't go anywhere, the option is great. It's another reason I think Project Q is a bit cooler than people are wanting to believe it is, because like, as much as we go on trips, I don't know, I'm home most nights. I'm not like world traveler 2/3 of the year. I'm like world traveler 1/30 of the year. So not being able to take it like with me, I play a lot of my Switch in my house, utilizing the switchable functionality. I think Project Q still benefits from that, but the Switch 2, when compared to the PlayStation Project Q, is going to have such a salivation state about it. Nintendo is going to be oozing at the mouth if they market this thing right and if they go after it, because the comparison will be lethal. Even compared to a Steam Deck or to an Asus ROG Ally, the Switch 2 is going to be priced cheaper. We just know it. That's how Nintendo operates. They're kind of the opposite of Sony. They try to get as low as you can go. They love to limbo. I think that the Switch 2, provided it does have the performance that we are kind of hoping for, and provided it does incorporate DLSS, and it does look really nice, and it does have maybe even a better screen than what this Project Q has, I think it can utilize Project Q as a leapfrog point, a leverage point, and say, Sony wants to charge you $500 to the PS5 and say $300 for Project Q, $800 to get this experience. Ours is better, ours is more fleshed out, and oh, by the way, we're not falling victim to the giant overlords of the live service community. We're still making games that you can play off the cartridge. We're still making games that don't need to connect to the internet. We're still making games that aren't gonna die out in 6 months because they are not GAAS. Nintendo will have such an opportunity to say for literally half the price of PS5 plus Project Q, you can get a Switch that has far closer power capacity to these next-gen consoles. You can get a Switch that has a humongous already existing library, and you can get a Switch that knows what gamers want and can be taken with you anywhere. Can be played at home, can be taken anywhere, can service all of these things. It takes the best elements of Nintendo Switch, the best elements of Project Q, it merges them together and it says, voila, we now have a system with good graphics and you can do a whole lot, and it costs half of the Sony bundle. If Sony was smart, they would find a way to get PS5, maybe a discless version, and Project Q in a bundle for like $500. Now that's an option, that's interesting, that's appealing, and you're basically offering PlayStation Switch. You know that Sony created this because Nintendo Switch was successful. And I personally believe that Project Q will feel better than Backbone, feel better than any sort of phone, feel better than the Remote Play app elsewhere. I think it will be a solid, strong way to play your PlayStation 5 games. I think maybe it could be a much cooler device, but I think the real flaw here is not bundling it in. The real flaw is not making this an alternate option to play PS5 already inside of your PS5. That's what the Switch does so brilliantly, and instead, it's just going to be a marketing move for Nintendo to say, you can get all of this. You can get all of this, all the options, for way less. And even though the Switch is 7 years old and we've been hearing the click sound and we know the options and we know the dynamic nature of a hybrid platform for nearly a decade, they'll have an opportunity to refresh why that's so cool and why that's so important because of Sony's misstep. Because of Project Q's oopsie at its higher price point and at its disinclusion from the PlayStation 5 TV version, Nintendo can capitalize and say, hey, remember us, the little guy? The one with the red logo? We do all of that in one. It's a hybrid system. It's got nice graphics. It can be even better with DLSS. And oh baby, do we have a lineup. I think the Switch 2 is gonna eat Project Q for lunch, and I'm kind of glad about it. I think the Project Q benefits us in all the ways. I don't think it's really a negative for Nintendo fans, and even for some Sony fans, I think it can still be kind of cool. So the whole negative discourse around this, I kind of say, hey, let's go the other direction. Project Q has its uses. Project Q could be way cooler, but Nintendo will feast because of it. And I love that. So thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, love you lots. SwitchForce out.